the mic on? Can anyone hear me? Is there a, do I have to switch it? Are we on? One evening on a frozen pond a mile north of Liberal, almost 60 years ago now, I skated wild circles while a strange pale sun went down. Not a house was in sight, no tree, only the arched wide surface of the earth holding the arched wide surface of the sky, holding the earth and me to the pond. Can everyone hear me? A little bit louder? Louder, louder, louder. Okay, we'll go a little louder. Welcome to Soul Food Books Poetry Night. Everyone start getting yourself settled in for an amazing ride. I am Lana Heckman-Ayers, and along with Michael Dillon Welch, we help host this evening, which is the third Thursday of the month. Tonight we have two phenomenal poets from south of Seattle, and I'm going to tell you about them. Michael McGee loves music, radio, and theater. His poems and plays have been produced by KSER-FM, Poets West, Jack Straw Productions as podcasts, as songs by the Mel Monroe Duo, Bellingham Repertory Dance Company, and in England on BBC Radio. Recent poems appear in the Enigmatist, Floating Bridge Review, and Jack Straw Writers Anthology. He won first prize in the Dancing Poetry Contest in San Francisco and lives in Tacoma. I recommend you ask about that dancing poetry. That sounds pretty wild. And Michael has invited to read with him Jean Musser. Jean was born in Akron, Ohio, as Jean Beatty. She was the art critic for the Seattle Times in the late 60s. She received a fellowship from the National Endowment for the Humanities and studied in Zurich, Switzerland, at the Jung Institute. In 1998, she edited The Raven Chronicles, which won the Best Literary Prize at Bumbershoot that summer. Her poems have appeared in Interdisciplinary Studies, Brilliant Corners, and Poets West Literary Magazine. She lives in University Place, Washington. And I just want to give a little bit of a personal note about Michael, who's going to read first. Is that correct? Okay. I'd seen Michael on and off at a poetry series that Miss Connie Wally, who's in the audience, runs in beautiful Tacoma. And I really always admired his work, but didn't get to know him until I was a Jack Straw writer. And it was such a privilege and an honor to be with Michael in that program. He is such an incredibly beautiful soul. And I am so excited to have him come read here tonight. So please welcome Michael.
Okay, that was Little Red Riding Hood in her nom de plume, Lana Ayers. And I wanted to start off actually having Jean read with me. Jean, if you want to come up on stage. I want to start off with a piece that Jean and I actually have kind of done before. It was performed up at the Bellingham Phrasings Festival for choreography. And they ended up doing a dance number to this. But what you're going to get tonight is just the words. And then you can fill in your own dance steps as you will. So if you can imagine people in the background moving to this, it's called Your Words. I'll start it off. Here, Jean, want to come close?
Yeah.
Come up close. Come close to the mic.
I am.
Okay. Your words.
Your words.
Your words are my words.
My words. They come from
Your eyes. Before
the flood of tears.
I found your words.
Your words, they nestle on
My shoulder.
my shoulder and flutter.
There.
There.
Your words are in
my hair. I feel them long.
and long that light
On my eyelids, flattering
flattering as snowflakes, teasing me
teasing me into song.
You say,
You say,
you say no trespassing.
but I will always
Find a way.
wiggle room.
Wiggle room for your words.
Your words to meet
My words. The words I know before.
Before going to bed, may they follow me.
Follow me down, down.
The valleys on and all.
All my days I will keep.
I will keep and remember.
Remember them, your words. Thanks, Jean. Okay. Yeah. Jean and I have been touring in Vancouver and the San Juan Islands. I'm going to go ahead now and thanks, Jean. Jean and I first met at the Fry Art Museum in Seattle when we read together there. And I'm going to start off, I think, with a poem from Vancouver. It happened in a place called the Dover Arms, and it's a little pub in Vancouver, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up with that. It's a dancing poem again. There is dancing. In the west end of Vancouver, there is dancing. At the Dover Arms on Denman Street, where a man dances out of his shoes, and another with a pigeon breast dances tight with the tall, sensuous woman in shorts. Another shakes his booty to the hornpipe, his hands rocking behind his back. He moves around our table, and we rise to join him in the nookie polka. Pumping arms and legs to the syncopation of the bodrum in Celtic envy. Dimple-cheeked Claire, who came in utero all the way from Liverpool, fills our pockets with her pulse, until all of us leave our inhibitions behind, but we are just beginning to find our sea legs. We spin around the table. The room is like a captain's wheel. We turn to whoever we are with and sail into the night like ghost ships on to English Bay. We walk across the water. The moon lights our way home, and we follow in the footsteps into the deep-seeing night. Turn green at the light, unsteady on our pins, ready to fall flat as plankton. We breathe hard up and deep on a deep-sea bender. We find our bearings into bed, where we tie ourselves into knots, our tipsy memory doing the bowline on the bite. Thanks. Speaking Welsh, I have Welsh ancestry, and I don't know whether you've ever heard or seen Dylan Thomas's Under Milkwood, but in it, he has a fictional town called Llergub, and if you spell it backwards, it spells bugger all. This is called Speaking Welsh. Here, there are no silent letters. Vowels, there are 7. The rest, you must learn yourself. This is for Michael Welch, too, by the way. Pronouncing every letter, and never mind repeating again and again that you are a stranger. You must clear your throat often. Use your tongue like a love spoon, mastering the double consonant. And slowly you will learn to sound them. Llanelli, Dygethlu, Porthmadog, even Machynlleth will resound like it rolled down the coal chute of the Rhondda Valley, let loose its falling letters into the scuttle, so that ever after your gaping bar mouth stops moving, you'll never, never be at a loss for words. I want to do a poem. It's actually a questionnaire, and this is going to be a little exercise in ventriloquism, because it's taken from a questionnaire that Marcel Proust, the famous French writer novelist, used to give to people. And it's the Proust questionnaire, is a questionnaire about one's personality. So this is like one of those standard Minnesota tests. It was first popularized by the responses given by the French writer Marcel Proust. So I'm going to ask the questions, and then I'll also give the answers. This question: the principal aspect of my personality. Answer: my incredible sense of humility. Question: the quality that I look for in a man. A beautiful wife. The quality that I look for in a woman. a woman of quality. What I appreciate most about my friends, that they are my friends. My main faults, double faults. My favorite activity, before or after. My dream of happiness, to be unsatisfied. What would be my greatest misfortune? To die of misfortune. What I would like to be or not to be. Next question. The country where I should like to live, a country without borders. My favorite color, one with shades. The flower that I like best, Jean. My favorite prose author, Proust, in that order. My favorite poets. My favorite pets are dogs. Oh, poets. Okay. My favorite heroines in fiction, every woman I've ever loved. My favorite composers, W.B. Yeats. My favorite painters, Proust. My heroes in real life, Cary Grant. I wish I could be Cary Grant. What I hate most of all, superior intelligence. The gift of nature that I would most like to have, superior intelligence. How I'd like to die, eating chocolate chip mint ice cream. My present state of mind, I live in Washington. Faults for which I have the most understanding, my own. My motto, live, have sex, die, or in the reverse order. I'd like to do some music, not music, but I'd like to do some poems that were inspired by music, because Lana mentioned in the introduction that theater and music have been a part of my life. So there's a piece called Eric Satie's Gymnopédies. They're exercises, sort of warm-up exercises. And this one is Gymnopédie number 3. The day starts with rain, the slow movements first, of grass and leaf and reticent bloom, and then the orb spinners will come out, laying their delicate maps, and everything waiting, silent as dew. Nothing and nothing much, soon to begin, the space between notes, breathing room for snail and poet. To hear what's not in the distance, a sounding brass or violin, the slow turn of a word on a page, and every living thing a footnote. The second poem is inspired by Allen Toussaint, and Allen Toussaint is a wonderful composer, songwriter from the South. I recently saw him on, I think it was Austin City Limits. He's written songs such as Get Out My Life, Baby, Working in a Coal Mine, and a very famous one called Southern Nights. And this was his kind of retelling. He talked about writing the song Southern Nights, and I sort of call it a porch song. So this is about Allen Toussaint. When he was a boy, he went to the country. They spoke patois, telling their stories and his relations over coffin rises and moon rifts. Those big-bosomed women would take him in with their family stories back then. And his lovely rocking chair song, Southern Nights, part Chopin, part Ravel. A gentle reminder of breeze in the keys of life, and that impressionistic song that reprises itself all night long, went on and on and on, and the musiques never stopped. And after that, he said, there was a very famous pianist named, well, I'll tell you his name. He said that after that, and listening to those songs, that Professor Longhair was a real shock. Professor Longhair is a wonderful pianist, again, that comes from the South. This poem, Volare, 1955, I'm sure that most of you know the song Volare. I grew up with it as I did. And this was kind of my theme song for the summer of 1955. California trailer parks and being on vacation, the freedom of camping by the riverbank, a pool to swim in, the summer ahead. The sky was an anthem that I could sing from. We opened the windows of our Buick Special, crossing at the California border, ready for the fruit and vegetable check, the road emptying into Redding motels. The whole wide Pacific Ocean was ahead, running on the beach and snapping towels, ear to the ground for clams, girls posing on racks of driftwood, mermaids with tails, and Domenico Modugno singing his flying song all summer long. Burning in the sun and breezy as palms and cocoa oil, I covered every pore, and I would lie awake listening to Mr. Acker Bilk and hum to myself The Stranger on the Shore. The vibrato of his clarinet came from the bell of my throat, while a silhouette called me back to another shape-shifter. There a girl waited in her swimsuit in a theater. I would hold her there and slink my arm around the back of her seat. I slept for two in my overcrowded bed with thoughts of loves who abandoned me, and I am already dreaming of another who I can only imagine on a shiny cover. I have memorized her license plate and phone number. There are children growing in our garden like hydrangeas with curly heads. The wind has promised me a place to live beyond the sea of Bobby Darin, where my future goes round and round in vinyl, just waiting like a new 45 to drop from the spindle onto the turntable. This is poem Sunday Morning. This is what I heard on one Sunday morning about 2 weeks ago. Sunday morning, the screaming of surreal babies, the rants of crows, like they were deranged clergy. Cacophonies of the bells and a call to morning prayer, and the chick, chick, Korea of the chickadees in waiting. My eardrums were like timpanis, and I heard the seagulls wailing, plenty of symphonic mix today. As I walked through the park, I study the Norway spruce with its hieroglyphic trunk, the bust of Henrik Ibsen adorned by pigeon droppings. And I watched the children dance around a pole like they were angels on a carousel to the flicker's desperate rapping. Thanks. The next one, I've written a series of poems recently about Franz Kafka, and one of them is going to, I think, be coming out in the City Arts magazine in Tacoma. And when I submitted the poem, it was a monologue. I'm not going to do that monologue, but the editor asked me if I had any other Kafka poems, and of course, I didn't. So I started to write some Kafka poems so I could submit them to him. And the one I'm going to read you now is a new one. It comes from a New York Times headline, and it's true. Unseen Kafka writings inch a bit closer to the light is the headline. And this is my little editor's note. Previously unpublished writings by Franz Kafka, letters, manuscripts, and journals have been discovered in safe deposit boxes in Zurich and Tel Aviv, and they will soon be released. Well, here's one. Kafka's coming out party. This time, I'm coming back with a vengeance. No more petty bureaucratic jobs, bootlicking, stamp sticking, or groveling just to cover my ass. This time, I'm going to sing Strangers in the Night and I've Got You Under My Skin, my karaoke favorites, and watch film noir classics. My past will emerge from those safe deposit boxes and piss yellow envelopes. My days will be filled with happiness and self-gratification with Helen, my water cooler girlfriend. I swear things will be different. I'll come out of hiding just to defend the little man, the mighty mite, the underdog, the long shot, and the also ran. You'll see me on David Letterman discussing my new fall series, Coming to Light. I'm thinking of getting David Spade to play an up-and-coming dweeb. It will be bigger than The Office. I'll hire an agent, I'll flesh out my resume, then I'll go on a book signing tour like today. No more mini-me, no more cryptic initials like K. And Ralph Nader will celebrate me. He'll ask me to be his running mate. And we'll turn the tables on those oil companies, those co-conspirators, those big corporations. We'll break out the Asti Spumante. Champagne for the minions and the minionettes too. I'll sing Kafka, Kafka, my way, until all the cockroaches applaud. It's a different Kafka, isn't it, than when you're a little quiet guy who hides behind the, yeah. This is the robust one. Now, next poem has a little visual with it. I'm going to hold this up. You don't have to see everything, but you'll get the idea. I opened up the paper, I think, 2 Sundays ago, and I found these 2 pages, right across from each other. Okay, so there's 3 categories here: sex offenders, obituaries, and politicians. These people are one of those 3, okay? So I began to write and think about what if you interchange the photographs with the captions, and you began to sort of get a rolling narrative going. So I wrote sex offenders, obituaries, and politicians to be accompanied by Bach's cello suite number 6 in D. Well, we don't have Yo-Yo Ma here today, so I'm not going to do the cello part, but this is the poem. So think of those photos. Think that they are interchangeable across the page. Fay, Tinkins, Smeal, Rosenquist, Fox, and Kronk, Patrick, Higley, Gabala, and Zachow, Darnielle, Nichols, Telkin, and Johnson, as though they were Astaire and Rogers, Dietrich and Bogart, Lunton Fontanne, Ruth and Cobb, Teller and Penn. How do you tell them apart? Well, one looks like Buffalo Bill, one is a soldier, news analyst, accountant, therapist, undertaker, mortgage broker, school principal, dentist, football player, friendly geek, teacher, athlete, cosmetologist, caretaker, homemaker, and they all look like they could fit in a banker's box. Not by name or photograph, although the sex offenders look more clean-cut, and the politicians are eager enough to commit sex crimes. And the dead are always smiling, smiling as though they're battling cancer and succumbing to old age and accidents and neglect and rape, while the sex offenders look earnest enough as stockbrokers, venture capitalists, or even politicians, while the dead, they seem mainly content, not striving to prove themselves. Even the dead, no need to spread their sperm anymore, or the word, or their platform, no need for the dead to get reelected, except in Chicago. They're not going anywhere. They're much like the sex offenders who may as well be looking through bars and are shackled to anklets as politicians are by causes. Each gazes at you from a 2x2 square. Next to their names, except the dead's faces always hang above. It's the reverse of the long-desired name above the title so coveted by movie stars. So maybe this is like having a class reunion. And they are the alumni. They're meeting in their school annuals. They're sharing the same cover story. As it were, all in bed with each other. And last, in one final groundbreaking ceremony, earth-shaking for one reason or another. For when you look at this rotogravure of a rogue's picnic gallery, some are running, some have run before, some have been caught. And maybe they'll meet in the halls of justice, or maybe injustice, or on the docket. They leave behind mothers, wives, husbands, grandchildren, next of kin, party members, victims, siblings, councils, authorities, children, girlfriends, community centers, neighborhoods, constituencies, clubs, charters, challengers, defenders, prosecutors, broken homes, and happy hearts. More organizations, fellow inmates, pets, and dependents. Their names will now be equal: father, son, daughter, mother, aunt, uncle, nephew, cousin, abuser, procurer, colleague, candidate, confidant, former resident, now looking for a new place to start. They are above ground, under suspicion, incarcerated, or embalmed. They're between jobs, they're past scrutiny, they're making a stand, or they're under arrest. They're undistinguished now by sex or profession, proclivity, ambition, or death. They're all side by side on the marble slabs. These are their mugshots. So I hope you'll never think of the obituaries and the elections the same way again. Do this. I just have a few poems left. I want to read. I have an interest in theater. So I have cancer, and last summer at this time, I went through chemotherapy. And when I was in chemotherapy, one of the good things, and one of the wonderful things about chemotherapy is that you can pick your own movies. So when you go in and they hook you up and everything, you get to select from their library of movies. So I was faced with all these possibilities, and I chose Henry V by Laurence Olivier. I wanted spectacle, folks. I wanted color. I wanted drama. So this is a brief little poem called Watching Olivier's Henry V During Chemo. As Henry V kisses Kate's lips at Agincourt, my IV drips, and France and England wed. Their fingertips link. As I finish my chemo, the nurse removes the port. I hope for peace that will end with a happy kingdom joined by blood. So I'd like to follow that up with a second Henry V poem. That breaks the old record of one that I used to do. This was the Henry V that we just saw on San Juan Island. We ended up going to see a production in the woods. So in the same vein as the other, this is seeing Henry V at Roche Harbor on San Juan Island. We enter the island stage left at Friday Harbor. And at the ferry dock, we encounter armies on their way to the lavender fields. As Mistress quickly laments the dying Falstaff, King Henry waits. Oh, for a muse of fire, the sun blooms blood red as we go to Limekiln Park to visit the bench of our fallen friend, Martin, a year after his death. And now he faces the straits of Juan de Fuca and Harrow. But listen, prick up your ears. We see a black fox crossing the road. Could this be an omen? And cattle and alpacas and a doe with her fawns as we travel to Roche Harbor to see Henry V. We pass the English camp in verdant fields. The French send tennis balls to scorn the English king. Harry says, "Give up the crown." And so both sides prepare for Agincourt like it was Wimbledon. Fluellen exits with Scroop. The English troops make ready when somewhere from the back of the audience, as a French soldier pulls out a sword, we hear the dogs of war. Woof, woof. Good Harry speaks to his troops on Crispin's day, urging them to lay the French to waste. Hooray! Hooray! The English win game, set, and match. And Harry, the plus belle damselle, oh, chère Catherine. And we make our way home along the lighted path. We few, we happy few, not having shed a drop of blood, rejoice, for tonight we shall sleep content, knowing our island kingdom safe at last, we band of brothers. The last poem was the other thing that happened when we were up in Canada, or coming back from Canada, other than Henry V. Each night we'd go out to Stanley Park and look up and see the Perseid meteor showers. We had a great place to see them from. So on the first night, I just went out alone in a complete blind act of faith, laid down on the grass, looked up in the sky, and on the left was a Big Dipper, on the right is Cassiopeia, and I sort of looked at this big space in between, hoping that eventually that they would appear. At night, when the stars make their declensions, we watch the meteor showers flash through the black holes in the heavens. Some, like tracer bullets, leave their bright sparks. Others flame out. We watch them streak to the left of Cassiopeia, our eyes wide as the Big Dipper. Thanks very much. Thank you. Okay, now Lana's really put me on the spot. Okay, she said, now you need to go back up on the stage and tell them why you chose Jean. Oh, as my co-reader. Oh, thank you. Thanks for... okay, I was thinking of something else. Never mind. Okay. Why I chose Jean as my co-reader. We first met, as I think I said, at a poetry reading at the Fry Art Museum in Seattle, where I fell in love. Before I fell in love with Jean, I fell in love with her poems. And they were so beautiful that long before I fell in love with her, it was the words that attracted me. And then we ended up reading at the Wits Inn together and ended up doing other engagements in various places. So in an odd way, I guess to use a tennis metaphor, at times we've become a sort of doubles team, sort of mixed doubles. I'd like to introduce Jean.
Thank you, Michael. This poem is called Probe. The closed-circuit screen reveals my heart. Faint shadows pulse at the junctures, like the rising infant soul. Oh, that's better. Okay, I'm going to start over again. All right. Probe. The closed-circuit screen reveals my heart. Faint shadows pulse at the junctures, like the rising infant soul of El Greco's Spanish count. Running from my femoral artery, spilling its dye, the tiny probe invades me, revealing the whole root system. Insect legs, long, fine, segmented, twitch, and reach lightly into atrium and ventricle, while doctors and nurses murmur. I have not been ready for this, and still am not. I have seen inside my heart and there was no one there, not even you, my love. And this is called the porch at Guadalupe House, and all of it is true. Slumped at the head of the stairs, a man with thick black hair hid his face in his hands. Ravens straddled him, sucking up his liver through the top of his head like Prometheus's vulture. But he was no god, no titan, except when he took the needles and ran the drugs like chariots of fire through his dancing veins. A soft gray nun from Ireland, plump as a dove, waddled behind the needle exchange. My ancient Acura, white as an angel, was parked down the street. On my morning walk, I had seen a seal washed up in the shallows, her head nibbled off, her teats flat as buttons. She was the color of Madrona, the color of autumn. When the spirit tires, the moon turns yellow and summer ends. At the other end of the porch, a man rocked back and forth, told me I was too late for the public showers, and asked me if I had a razor. When someone came out to help me with the canned goods and clothing, he growled half-heartedly, "Fuck you, Mexicano," singeing the air with his misery. The man at the head of the stairs didn't hear. Tomorrow only his clothes will be there. He will be in the mouth of Raven, trickster, creator, who will carry him to where even the wind is quiet. And this is jumping ahead a little, but it's called Sassetta's Magi, and it's really something of a Christmas poem. And Sassetta was a Sienese painter who lived from 1391 to 1460, and it's full of just beautiful visual effects too. They ride down a steep hill of soft gray sand on the backs of horses, trying not to slip. Exotic birds with long legs and necks feed at the top of a neighboring pale green hill. It is not yet dark. A dazzling star, seen only by the artist, hangs in the right foreground below the caravan. A monkey rides on the panniers of a lazy blue horse, and small dogs scamper below. A falcon sits on the head of his lowly master, who walks behind his horse, and another sits on the arm of a gentleman riding behind him. The Magi are busy in conversation, as are the others. All are dressed in bright colors of red and blue, gold and rose, like the temple far in the distance. This motley entourage resembles more a group of traveling players than a solemn procession. With animals trained to do tricks, singers and dancers, magicians and jugglers, there will be music and dancing under the one bright star. Incense is filling the air. Fortunes have already been told. And this is a rather short poem about the ram in the thicket. As workmen were digging in one corner of the great death pit, they uncovered a goat made of gold and lapis lazuli, where hundreds of people were sacrificed and buried. Later, the goat was removed to the British Museum, where it now stands upright, looking sad and wise, yet with a gentle smile that is the way with goats. And this is called The Way of Gypsies. Milan is safe. Lines of thin poplars mark off the nearby fields, but the trains are running late. Farther south, rushing muddy waters have drowned mile after mile of rural land. Uprooted trees like drowning swimmers, past deserted farms and villas, where multitudes of livestock and small wild creatures have been washed under like flotsam. Near the Ligurian Sea, the weather clears and Genoa is dry. Under the eggshell sky, the train snakes around breathtaking curves, through long tunnels, past vineyards, olive groves, palm trees, and pastel dwellings, until we reach La Spezia, with its boulevards of sycamores, church bells, and murmuring doves. Gypsies rest in the sun outside the armory. No tarot cards, no crystal balls, no dances and songs. Only a man carefully mending his shoe, a girl nursing her child, a young man replacing a string on his violin, and a boy studying the cloud's reflection in the moat. Beside their caravans, old women spread wet clothes over the metal railings. As a new moon, white and fragile as a butterfly, cuts a slit in the evening sky, gypsies put on dry clothes and light their fires. More caravans assemble, babies are suckled, old people gently rounded, huddle together near braziers. Musicians tune their violins and play a lambent dirge to honor what is lost, and then set loose flamboyant ancient rhythms to coax the earth back to its usual ways. And this is called From the Night's Dark Pelt. My ancestors dream over me in the rosewood bed. The night creaks in the wind. A thick black sock is stuffed in the door to stop its rattling. The house settles with a loud crack like a pod breaking open, and I know it would take only one credit card slipped in sideways over the lock to open the front door. I throw back the covers and begin roaming familiar silver rooms filled with plants of all sizes on tables and ledges. Extending their dark arms and reaching fingers, a draft passes. I mingle with spirits, pick off the thin veneer of what is known, consider divination, madness, and mysteries, both holy and unholy, rolling in on a machine of breakers to that far edge of the mind where there are no words to fish with. The unknown billows in, floats down upon me. My right hand inadvertently touches the soft, furred tongues of the speaking plants. In Haiti, the dead are said to walk at night. And this is called Ohio Lightning. My bed was near a window where the storms came in on summer nights. But when the thunder rolled and lightning cracked the sky, my warring parents put down their bitter weapons and rushed into my room as the rain poured in and the curtains blew, afraid I might get struck by lightning as I slept. My father, in striped pajamas, mother in a silken gown, long red hair around her. This image lodges still. Now that they are gone, I dream of them, and everything has changed. They sit at a table in their bedroom, eating breakfast, looking at each other. Their eyes are sparkling. The room is painted white. Thank you.
Thank you both. We're going to take about a 10 or so minute break. There is an open mic sign-up sheet floating around somewhere. Oh, Marjorie has it at that table if you haven't signed up yet. The question of the evening is a favorite song. I'd like you to please speak with our featured poets. They have wonderful chapbook collections for you to look at that table over there. So please go and chat and take a look at what they have to offer, shop the store, have a snack, and we'll see you back in a few minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're now ready to get started again with part 2 of tonight's extravaganza poetry reading. A couple of announcements first. I've been passing out bookmarks for the Lit Fuse poetry event. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. It's in the small town of Tieton near Yakima, and that sounds like it's a long way away, but it's highly worth it. It's a beautiful little town with its own green square in the middle of town, and they've taken over some nearby warehouses and turned them into art galleries, and it's a fascinating place, a fascinating poetry weekend with a great lineup of speakers if you can go, coming up October 8 through 10. So please check that out, and if you didn't get a postcard, bookmark, I'll have them up here. Something else I wanted to mention is some of our upcoming readers. Somewhere in the store, or you could ask me for this, is a list of upcoming readers. September 16, next month, is Aaron Malone and Rebecca Hoogs. Then after that, in October, Alan Braden and Kevin Miller. Then November 18 is Jody Zorgreger and Ann Doe Overstreet. And then on December 16, Brendan, where's Brendan? Where's Brendan? He's back there. Brendan McBreen and Lisa Schmidt. So, looking forward to all of these readers in the months ahead, and that's all updated on the website, which I hope you're checking every month. We have at least 16 readers tonight, so we have a lot of readers to get through. So keep it brief, and I might as well introduce. Do you have any announcements? So I'll say the first reader then. And the question of the month is favorite song. And this person's song is Winds of Change, which for me, I think of the Scorpions, but maybe, oh, okay, all right, okay. But you never know. It could be done by, who knows? Julie Curry is our first reader tonight.
Gerald. Got it? Oh. Okay. What? Did you get it? It went. Oh. All right. Well, we'll get one later. Well, every picture I have when I'm standing on stage, my eyes are drawn down. So I was trying to get one with my eyes open. Okay. This one is called Morning. Stretching to the alarm clock, as if to grasp it, catch it, hold it for a moment, with my own hands touch it, as I hit the snooze button, that I may have 10 minutes just to be. Time, though I try to hold on to it, it escapes me, trying to hold on to a dream. For a song to enlighten my way, comes the dawning of a new day. Taking a breath, smelling coffee that time has allowed to perk, set in preparation for each new day, was set by those same hands that now just want to hold on to it. Realization that time waits for no one. Since the beginning of time, it has no end. It brings life, it takes it. Meanwhile, we endure it. Is it a race against time or our wits? They say what one puts into it is what one gets. Time is a constant in the universe. Who am I that it should wait on me? This one's called Today. The future holds the past responsible for its actions. The past before it was the future held promise. The present, a gift, wrapped up for the unfolding. Did you rip the day away, or carefully unwrap it to behold the contents? Savoring the surprise, could you wait to reveal its contents?
Thank you, Julie. We're going to do about 3 minutes per poet, since we have so many wonderful poets tonight. My favorite song of the moment happens to be Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. And I thought there hadn't been a quintessential singer of it yet. But if you go to YouTube and you look for Damien Rice singing Hallelujah, it's pretty amazing. Our next poet to stage is Gerald McBreen, who enjoys a good Mona Lisa.
I must be in the wrong spot here. It says staff only. That old children's game. There's a red pony on the roof. Seems uncomfortable. There's a body up a tree almost hidden by maple leaves. There's a baby on the freeway. Drivers swish by, twirl it like a whirlwind. Who told it could go play on US 5? Granny's off her rocker, sitting between railroad tracks, wonders if the 7:15 will be early or if her kids will find her first. Oddities happen like purple lilies, chewing yellow butterfly wings, ice skating on a golf course, Greyhound bus, one heck of a place to bury good old granddad. In the middle of the block, a poet, without thought, sees nothing unusual. Are you ready to play that old children's game? Within this poem, which one doesn't belong?
Thank you. As some of you know, I write American sentences, and this last weekend my kids, who were 6 and 4, said, Thomas is musical, Sarah is dancical, and Daddy's popsicle. Our next reader's favorite song is Bahia Banderas, Charmaine Leyland St. John.
things I'll do now that he's gone. I'll go to Tuscany alone and flirt with dark-eyed men. I'll buy a zither and join a gypsy band. I'll paint my toenails fire engine red. I'll learn to write Sanskrit and leave messages in indelible ink scrawled on bathroom walls in cities with names beginning with the letter Q. I'll stay in on Thursdays and cry myself to sleep on Friday nights. I'll learn to tango and propagate red roses with 12-inch stems devoid of thorns. I'll make wishes on stars and believe they'll come true. I'll subscribe to Ladies' Home Journal. I'll have an affair with Bob Dylan. I'll lose 10 more pounds and become famous for something truly inane. It could happen, you know. Is this thinking? I said coffee. I didn't say, would you like to cup my warm, soft breast in your uncalloused, long, tapered, ringless, fingered hands? I said coffee. I didn't say, would you like to run your tongue along my neck just below my left earlobe? I said coffee. I didn't say, would you like to hold me in your arms and feel my heart skip beats as you press your hard, lean body up against mine until I melt into you with desire? I said coffee. As we stood there in the jasmine-scented night, my car door like some modern-day bundling board, separating us, protecting us from ourselves and lust. I said, would you like to go for a cup of coffee? I didn't say, would you like to brush your lips across mine as you move silently to bury your face in my long, silky, raven black hair? But you said, I can't. I'm married. I can't trust myself to be alone with you. So I looked you dead in the eye and repeated, I said coffee. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Maggie Kelly, who did not give us a favorite song title, so she must do that when she comes to the mic. Welcome, Maggie.
Well, there are just too many songs that I really, really like. So I'm just going to pick one of them, the Grand March from the Aida. Oh, how about that? Maybe my poem should have come before the last poems did. Eve sees the serpent for the first time. Wily serpent winding through the garden green, only half seen as you slither past. You turn a topaz eye as you slide, pause, just long enough to pitch my blood beyond ordinary tuning. Your sensuous glimmer burns an image on my brain, fires both its lobes to red heat until I flee to find some cooling place to calm the blood forever chained. And now the first meeting with the serpent. The first meeting with the serpent. Eve feels an unholy thrust as the serpent tells her to just think about it for now. Thinking frightens her in the face of the dark maw of disobedience that keeps its jaws open before her. Surely, to know is as good as being known, considering both as moral endeavors. And yet,
Our next reader's favorite song is Over the Valley, and that's selected by Tim Sherry, And since I'm not sure I know that song, maybe Tim will sing a bit of it for us? Tim Sherry.
When I sing in church, people turn around and tell me to be quiet, so I won't sing it. I heard the song for the first time at a Pink Martini concert. It was written by China Forbes, who's the lead singer, and I played it in the car driving with my 10-year-old granddaughter, who had never heard it before, and I don't know anymore how 10-year-olds respond to love songs, but I told her it was my favorite love song and asked her what she thought about it afterwards, and she said it was beautiful. So if you ever get a chance to hear it, it's a fantastic love song. I have a couple of short poems, and the first poem I apologize for. It's based on rage. It's based on the news. It's based on the fact that it's always a man who shoots up the place, most recently in Connecticut. The title of the poem is After Another Headline About a Man Who Shoots Up Someplace Where People Are Just Minding Their Own Business and Then Shoots Himself. And that's also the first part of the poem. And again, I apologize. After another headline about a man who shoots up someplace where people are just minding their own business and then shoots himself, what if a woman were to grab a gun and show up someplace where no one expects lipstick and eyeshadow to mean carnage? Maybe the woman has just taken it every day from her mealy husband and decides to give it right back when he gets out of the car in a Safeway parking lot or at the tavern where he and his buddies are drinking their big boy beers. The blondes on camera who puff what the teleprompter scrolls might then say something more than cluck cluck before moving on. And the second poem is based on a stay that I had at a church camp in the North Cascade Mountains above Lake Chelan. One of the highlights of every day is going to the snack shop for ice cream after Vespers. The title of the poem is No Emperor for Ice Cream. There's no ice in the New Testament, so standing in line after Vespers, waiting the opening of the snack shop, the question is so church camp when someone wonders if Jesus would have served ice cream for dessert at the Last Supper if there had been such a thing in his day. It is more of the silliness that sometimes seems so gospel in the mountains, where such questions are refrigerated most of the year by 10 feet of snow, and deciding in the heat of a summer evening which flavor, how many scoops, cone or dish, is just as important as answering, what would Jesus do?
Next up, we have a guy who probably sings this song. Come on over in my kitchen, Peter Ludwin.
I think I'll leave that to Robert Johnson. Two poems. The first one from my apple picking years in the 70s, October Tonasket. To rise in the dark of the cabin, bones shot through with cold, implacable as iron. To stuff paper and kindling in the wood stove, then run outside to pee while your teeth rattled like rusty chains hauled across a foredeck. That was the beginning of apple picking. It was a process, this slow unfolding into day, one sealed with pain that followed you up the weather-beaten ladder, clung to the hand you used to grip a wine sap coated with ice. Not religious, you prayed then for sun to break over the ridgetop and find that hand, that fruit, to fashion that deliverance you knew was bound to come once you'd made yourself worthy. Two doors in Morelia. Morelia is a lovely city. It's the capital of the state of Michoacan in Mexico. Whoever labored here craved the core of things, a dream of honeyed flesh chipped and lathed and sanded down from packed fiber run true to the grain, then varnished by a craftsman's hand, infused the very pulp with a force he could not name, but only bow to in surrender. That which sputtered, smoked, then sparked a feathery duff, scorched the whole design to shape it, to yield its reluctant form. Maybe 10 feet high, the strips of studded metal beaten with a hammer into iron flame forked blue. They were meant to dazzle, these doors, to stop the breath, like Mary Magdalene peeling her undergarment over plum-rich hips while a lowly butcher gasped and bit his tongue. Cause an itinerant peddler to declare he was separate from blood and bone, and his closest kin, a bird of paradise, had assured him he could fly. Nothing fancy in the details, no filigreed script etched in the wood like snakes. Rather, the unadorned as mirror to the slim, naked nail. Even Mary, her languid gait, the envy of gazelles, of orbiting heavenly bodies, gives way to mallet and chisel, to indented squares trapping tiny beads of light. And beneath their surface, an old man lodged within the carver himself curls like a fist, struggles to rise, to whisper in a cupped ear, his the voice of shattered worlds.
Thank you, Peter. Our next reader has chosen a song by Cat Stevens, and he was a great songwriter. And you picked one of my favorite I would say it's probably my favorite Cat Stevens song too, Father and Son. If any of you don't know it, it's a wonderful, wonderful song. Chris Jarmick.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Tomorrow night at Bookworm Exchange in Columbia City, we have the Sisters of Poetry, as we're calling them, but it's actually Peggy Barnett and Erica Michaels. So if you want some more poetry, and there's an open mic, and it's free and all that good stuff. Poem starter, 1,141. Grab attention quickly, and remember, a good ending is very important. If you stumble, do it in the middle. Will you be forgiven? Not a poem about creature features. When I close my eyes, the earth is being invaded by UFOs from 1950 creature feature chiller theater monster movies. Spinning silverish discs crash into the Washington Monument. Old giant alien men appear from superimposed weather balloons to make an unhappily married diamond-wearing woman 50 feet tall. A giant blurry monster from an antimatter universe that turns out to be a ridiculously looking wooden puppet bird with a mohawk attacks the Empire State Building. It's true, when I close my eyes, I'm inside a campy, so bad it's good flick featuring giant rubber octopuses, once famous Swedish wrestlers, Bela Lugosi, and atomic radiation-generated mutants interested in killing men and capturing pretty women. There's mad scientists who put cat brains into Mexican women's heads and watches Ed Wood model an Angora sweater confessing he wants to wear a dress when he makes movies like Plan 9 from outer space. Phil Tucker, Ron Ormond, Lon Chaney Jr., and John Carradine are fighting over an old issue of Famous Monsters of Filmland, Forays having lunch with Ray Harryhausen and Ray Bradbury as giant grasshoppers climb all over skyscrapers. Peter Graves, played by Agent Phelps, calls Roger Corman for help, but they actually work together in a different movie, It Conquered the World, with Lee Van Cleef, who wound up trying to stop Snake Plissken, his escape from New York, before Kurt Russell worked with Robert De Niro in Backdraft, who was in Sleepers with Kevin Bacon, just 2 degrees separated. Now my eyes are wide open. I see things aren't in black and white or as bad as a Killer Tomato movie. We're evolving, rising above bad special effects and cheap film stock to become something better, something even more connected than Kevin Bacon and Steve Guttenberg and Paul Reiser and Diner. There's hope for us all, after all, even if we forget our Bill of Rights and try to stop Muslims from building a community center a few blocks from where the Twin Towers once stood in New York City. It doesn't affect anyone here in Seattle or me, lost in my black and white creature feature movies of the 1950s. Thank you.
George Whale, you are up next. You who enjoy fields of barley.
Wow, surprise. I got a very short one here. It ought to be against the law to drink beer through a straw. If you find the law is too severe, forget the straw, give up the beer. My lady friend drinks beer through a straw. This one is called The Good Old Days. In the good old days when we were young and the song of childhood had not been sung and the bell of youth had not been rung, those were the good old days. Then our wild oats were not yet sown. The world was our oyster, ours alone. Then we knew everything that could be known. Those were the good old days. Soon the bird of life was on the wing, then high school and college and educating. Along came adulthood and everything. Those were the good old days. Wives and husbands we became, fathers and mothers in the parent game, moved to the suburbs and commuted by train. Those were the good old days. Loved and enjoyed the kids we raised, puffed up with pride when they were praised. When they hit adolescence, were we shocked and amazed? Not necessarily the good old days. We've gotten old, those things have been done. We've had our day out in the sun. We talk of the battles we've lost and won. Were they the good old days? Now we discuss our Medicare, the loss and whitening of our hair, our aching backs, and life's not fair. These can't be the good old days. It's coming to an end, but I can't say that I'd have had it any other way. But you just can't know, if you have your choice, that it could have been better or a whole lot worse. So that's my reason when I say that they all were the good old days. Thank you.
Our next reader is Roy Keinholz, who either likes so many songs that he can't pick one, or he doesn't like music at all. Roy Keinholz.
It's Keinholz, not Keinholz. I've got a couple here. First one is called What We Do. I'm with the Striped Water Poets in Auburn, and we meet every Tuesday. And one time I wasn't able to be there, and I knew they would be inquisitive as to why I wasn't, so I let them know the next time I went. Called Uninvited Guest. I really wanted to be at the meeting last week, but an uninvited, unwanted guest came to my house. And although I encouraged him to leave, he lingered on uninvited. He seemed to take great pleasure in making me feel most uncomfortable. In fact, he made me feel like H-E-double-L. He caused me to cough up the most ludicrous and icky-looking mucus and made my stomach feel like a merry-go-round. Coughing and sneezing became a constant procedure, with the nose running all the time like a runaway freight train. And lo and behold, as I reached for the Kleenex, wouldn't you know the box was empty, but with no spare around. But that's all right, because that's what shirt sleeves are for. And of course, the most exciting and critical part was the decision-making, when everything happened at the same exact time, such as, am I going to sneeze, cough, or should I head for the pot? Then after 4 or 5 days, my guest left as he came, uninvited, unwanted, and unseen, with no thanks or concerns. Yes, I could have come that night, but being the sharing person I am, I would have had to bring him with me. So please forgive me for not being there. This next one is called A Perfect Match. With a heart overflowing with love and anticipation, as she sat wondering, will I ever find the right person? When the phone rang, it was her friend Jenny calling to say she would pick her up for the party. As they entered the room where the party was, a man across the room saw the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. As he crossed the room to meet her, it was as if a magnet was drawing them together. And as he reached out and touched her hand, her heart did all kinds of flip-flops, and she knew she had found the right person. The courtship was short, and the marriage was beautiful. Yes, a perfect match, filled with great passion, intimacy, and love everlasting. What wonderful times as they traveled together, with him planning within her heart and mind the most beautiful sights in the world. For though she knew him well, she had never really seen him except in her mind, for she had been blind from her birth. And she in return had filled his heart and mind with the most beautiful songs and thoughts, though he had never heard the sound of her voice, for he likewise had been born deaf. Truly a match made in heaven.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here to report that our next reader enjoys Deutschland über alles. R.D. Shadowbird.
Yes, well, I was somewhat flummoxed by the query. So who is Satan? Simply God on a night when she's pretending to be someone interesting. Why, fighting with the girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, isn't necessarily a waste of time. Without the tiffs, no makeup sex. Harvest pain. This is the P-A-E-A-N kind of pain. Emerging from brush, disheveled, crimson stains round mouth, down arms and fingers, looking like there was war in the thicket. But the raspberries were ripe for surrender, and what transpired was more like love, much grasping, plucking, sucking, and oh, such smells and tastes. The last one has an epigraph. Now this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning. Churchill. About us. When at last it truly can be said, there exists such beast as us. We shan't in public paw the other's privates, undisciplined as tasteless children, prisoners in the thrust of unruly lust. We conform instead to law of our devising, serve portions duly measured, if generous and frequent, rendered more devastating by precision in our strikes. On the town, we stand close, sit closer, but that's near the extent, save shared glances akin to solar flares. Sparks ricochet through rooms, pulses rollick boats at tether, waves break across rocks, inundate beaches with incoming tide. Subtle synchronicity forms such focused pressure, the sagacious are moved to mutter, "Behold the ravenous, poised to devour."
Thank you, Artie. Next up, we have Herb McLeese, who also didn't write a favorite song down, but maybe we'll find out. Herb McLeese.
I don't think I picked up on the question exactly. Thought there was like a prize or something like that. But I would say Maggie would be a pretty good example of one for me, Rod Stewart. Or Cat Stevens' Where Will the Children Play? The Jug, Morning. Another drinking party last night, thought the Jug. While my rich master kept me filled, all the travelers kept me company. At the oasis I was passed around mouth to mouth. My wine loosened their tongues, and the men boasted and sang. I awoke empty and cracked, discarded by my master, unable to hold wine, old or new. My serving days are over. Noon. Though I ache with new cracks, am I not the same jug praised for its intricate design and my master's fabled grape? But who am I, now empty and cracked? Philosophy replies, the essence of a jug, its jugness, is its ability to contain. Well, I am empty, and I can still contain, but not all things, not with my cracks. So I am a jug that can hold drink, but can hold sand. His scholar's words have not helped me at all. Here I am, cast away to be filled with sand. Already it drifts around me and it falls down the dunes. Night. A faint humming sound like a flute or a chorus, but from where? Surely I'm alone in the desert. The caravan has moved on. Still the sound grows louder. It comes from within. Music made by a cool wind blowing across my mouth. Now wisdom whispers, your emptiness is key. And from within the Master speaks, your worn, imperfect shape is your voice. My messenger breathes your words. Thank you.
Marjorie Rommel is next up. She enjoys She Moved Through the Fair.
I bet you guys don't even know what She Moved Through the Fair is, do you? It's a beautiful old Irish song. And it's sung in Sean-Nós style, which is very a cappella and ornamented, and it's very beautiful. Sinead O'Connor does a really nice version of it, which isn't at all what you might think. Okay, I am reading to you 3 poems, 2 short and 1 slightly longer, and I'm reading them specifically for Jean and for Michael. This one has an epigraph from Galway Canal. The body makes love possible. This form we take not by choice, but from necessity. Bird begets lily, ceiling breaks into stars. What is the thing we make? Dust from dust, then dust again? 2 by 2 we wake, enter the ark to find each other, contrary hearts bursting into contentious song. Think of it, how musicians hold sound inside their heads, how they rev it up, pour it out, a temperature inversion blasted into the balconies. What if you could see Rachmaninoff's variations shimmering before you? Ed Meyer raising havoc with Giovanni Botticini's concerto in B minor. Music made at this moment, tweaked from the bridge of a double bass, plucked from the beard of the man with the violin. Wouldn't that change your life? What if you could see the fat notes rising, rowdy corpuscles careening through the veins of his arm and into the concert hall? A tapestry richer than anything Croesus owned. Wouldn't it change your life? Of course it would. Think how music slides into our bodies, how it funnels down through the intricately carved folded ears, how we cradle it deep inside, and when the concert ends, we carry it into the rainy streets, a hot front rising. I've been fiddling with wildlife poems recently, and this is Wild Love. Mate caught in a trap, she looks for ways to release him, brings small game for his sustenance, soaks in river water to bring him drink in her fur. She curls around him at night, tends his wound, smooths his coat and his heart. They sing together in darkness. She stays, till death shows him mercy, or he gnaws the caught leg free. Thank you.
Our next reader is Rick Smith, and his favorite song is You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings. Rick Smith.
That's an old Bette Midler, one of my favorites. This particular poem was written just 2 days ago, and there were 3 incidents on that particular day that influenced the writing of this poem, and I want to share with you what they are. The first was my reading of a poem written by Colombian author Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's called Farewell, and it's a very brooding, deep, tense poem. And the second thing was that I had to attend a funeral service the same day, earlier in that day actually. One of my wife's friends passed away. And then the last thing that influenced this poem was I reviewed a movie or video of a very moving video, by the way, about the fear of people opposed to building of a Muslim mosque in Ground Zero, 9/11, Ground Zero of New York. I learned something from each of those experiences, and I think it's reflected in this poem, which is called Hello. Tears you shed are like drops of love from an emotional gold heart. A river of released feelings rushing to stem the pain of your experience. Embrace this flow until exhaustion of your grief. Replace it with confidence in what you have learned about yourself to build a future. There you will find life, sunshine, and rain instead of tears. There laughter will endure instead of sadness. There will be dreams instead of darkness, sleep instead of death, joy and peace instead of doubt and fear. There will be songs of a sweet future built on the sacrifice of history, where people can say hello instead of farewell. And this one is different, and it's called Ebullient Apology. I've fallen from your cliff of desire. Pain and discomfort viciously impale me. A relaxed feeling fell from me as quickly as lightning falls from a darkened sky. Dreams and memories bend us to the fetal position of survival, capture secrets within on the walls of our sacred heart. I was impervious to the intention of your light, drawn to you like a moth to the lamp of night, willing to sacrifice everything to bask in your glow, always rewarded by your smile, your touch, the promise of attention, and so much more. I read you in saved mind messages, records of one history, always worth review and longing. Waves of our relationship met the shore quietly, touching sand like satisfied lovers not wanting to abandon togetherness of moments shared. Even in pain, I will hold you with my eyes that see your need, with arms enfolding you in comfort and loving understanding during our recovery. Far beyond excitement of new beginnings or impressions embedded on our shared heart, I'm here because you define me, still worthy of you.
A woman who enjoys the silence. Tanya McDonald.
And how fitting that we're doing the music theme tonight, because I, as usual, bring my notebook and then sign up for the list and then have to figure out what I'm going to read. So you get the Beatles. Recently was driving back from a camping trip with my husband Russ, and we were listening to the Beatles, and haiku stuff seems to be rubbing off on him. I can't imagine why. So I won't tell you which of us wrote these, but we kind of conspired together. Love me do. A long line of cars behind the horse trailer. I want to hold your hand. One telephone pole leans toward another. Can't buy me love. boarded up windows in the logging town. Hard day's night, the truck stop parking lot, full of motorcycles. I feel fine. The stop sign wrapped around the pole. Help! Wildflowers growing in last year's rock slide. Day tripper, on the old highway, a line of muscle cars. Yellow submarine, a smart car on the mountain pass. Eleanor Rigby, $5 for a bundle of kindling. Hello, goodbye. The ice cream truck, out of gas. Thank you.
I think you have another 150 Beatles songs to go. How many of you are familiar with the Arts and Nature Festival? One person. Okay, well, Tanya and I, this weekend, will be at the Arts and Nature Festival doing haiku. And if you aren't familiar with it, it's at Camp Long. And if you search for it's run by the Nature Consortium. And it's a really fascinating festival. They have dance and puppetry and all sorts of music. Yes? Yes. Yes. And what's his name? I'm going blank on his name. Who's the lead singer of the Presidents of the United States of America, is doing a benefit performance. And he also has this other band, Casper Baby Pants for Kids, that he'll be doing a performance. And there's a whole bunch of other activities. And it's really funky, and it's a really, really interesting festival. Plus, it's at Camp Long in West Seattle. I just look up Arts and Nature Festival, and you'll find the information. And we'll be decorating the park area with lots of haiku on sticks, and having a couple of workshops and a table with family activities, and there's a lot of other activities, and a big geodesic dome, and lots of fun things there this weekend. So check it out. And our next reader, his favorite song is the buzzing orchestra he heard once in a waking dream. Brendan McBreen.
I have a handful of short poems to read. Werewolf Woman. In a black strapless dress, she dances between cannons, waiting for the right glass slippers to fit her paws. Crowds gather, proud of their past, but grateful that it's over. I saw a saw on the bridge in the sky. It rippled and thunder bloomed, sending banners beyond the overcast where a small boy in a red minivan watches the water below, looking for piranha. I left a basket of crow feathers on your porch this morning. Dawn shined through me and filled my hollow soul with footprints. I'd forgotten how to hold you. This is a cinquain, or cinquain as Michael has it. Awake, all people are looking to the heavens, assuming that reality is real. When time is appropriate, it falls and covers the dawn with new dreams. And I'll end with this. House demolished years ago. Nobody told the tulips. Thanks.
Brendan is going to be our featured reader in December on the 16th, I believe. So come back for more wild and wacky poems then. Next up, we have Miss Dawn Marie Oliver, who it seems does love way too many songs, but I'm sure she'll mention one or more when she comes up to the mic. Dawn Marie.
Yes, it's like far, far too many. But of course, there's the quintessential Free Bird, which I have now sung on this very stage 3 times. So these are a couple of the postcard poems I sent out in the August poetry postcard thingy. What's the official title? Yeah, that's it. Okay. The technical term is thingy. And this was the one I wrote for the very beginning on the 27th of July. And it has a song in it, so that will be the song I give you tonight besides Freebird, which is Roller Derby Queen by Jim Croce. I was a roller derby queen when I was 8. No oval track for me, for me, you see, Minnesota is just too flat for that. Straight up and back, metal wheels grinding the grit finer every lap. Silver key smacking between non-existent breasts, waiting for a singer like Jim Croce to fall in love with me. And this one is also from the very beginning. A new and different masochistic poetic endeavor, never without pen nearby, not since I was younger than the children verso. There were kids on the other side of the postcard. I write, therefore I think I am, think I can, know I bleed ink when cut with the merest sliver from an envelope or tongue. I am not a PC, I am not a Mac, I am a pen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn Marie. Is there anybody else who would like to read who hasn't had a chance? Just want to make sure. I don't know what my favorite song is. It's like choosing your favorite child. But I'm a guitar solo fan, so I particularly like lately November Rain by Guns N' Roses and oh, that's a good one too. Excellent. And Parisian Walkways by Gary Moore. So there you go. This is a very recent poem. It is called "The Pen is Mightier Than the Sword." Sometimes I think my pen is too small. If my pen were bigger, surely I could write better stories, better poems, sign that 7-figure contract with Knopf for Norton. If only my pen were bigger, I know I would more readily please others, maybe even my wife too. I like pens better than pencils, and a good pencil would do in a pinch so long as it had a good, long, hard lead. But what I really need is a stiff, dependable pen, one that always rises to the occasion. I've seen the ads on TV advertising for larger pens, but I've never had the courage to call. After all, my pen isn't all that small. I'm okay with it, but I do wonder what it's like to have a really long pen filled with deep wells of ink, one that I could hold lovingly in my hand, feel how it clicks, admiring it, having others admire it, a truly inspirational pen that would be everyone's object of envy. I get the emails almost daily asking me if my pen is too small, if I'd like a bigger pen now. I used to delete those messages from my spam filter, but lately I've been wondering if maybe, just maybe, finally, I should get a larger pen. Not the size of Hemingway's, mind you, or Walt Whitman's. I'd be happy with Robert Pinsky's or Billy Collins. If I had a bigger pen, I would walk erectly at writing conferences, change my name to Dick, sign my books with more flair than John Hancock. If only I had a bigger pen. If only. So I think that concludes our evening. And thank you once again to Soul Food Books for having us. I'm very, very grateful for this space, and I like the way they've remodeled, if this is the first time you've seen the remodel. So please do come back again next month, when our readers will be Aaron Malone and Rebecca Hoogs. And thanks again to our featured readers tonight, Michael McGee and Jean Musser. Thank you.
That's right. Oh, thanks.
Nice smile, but you can't hold it.
Did you get it?
Got two of them.
Okay, good.
Dialing. You got a nice picture here, I think. That's well posed.
I have like babble stage fright. I'm getting the babble stage fright. I can babble. 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 Babel. Babylon. Babblicious. Joseph Babblecock. Babblehorn Mountain. How many different ways can I pronounce what? Gatorade. 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 Oh, that was the same as the second one. Gatorade. 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 That was the same one, but I just extended the vowels. Gatorade. Gatorade. I'm out of Gatorades. Taylor, what's the next word? Next word. Philosophical? 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 Don't boo, don't boo. Alexi, that's not fair. You're throwing invisible tomatoes. Now he's walking out the door. Goodbye. Hello, invisible crowd. I am about to perform Act 2, Scene 1 of Hamlet, also known as the "Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I" soliloquy. And let's see if I remember it. And if not, I have Hamlet in my back pocket, and I can probably just pull that out. So we can do that. Taylor, you ready? Fire away. Okay. Let me get in character. I've got to be pretending to be crazy, but possibly crazy, but maybe not crazy. And also vengeful, but maybe not vengeful. And ultimately indecisive. And mixed up about women. So I've just got to be Taylor. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, you're gonna put cyanide in it? You're just gonna put a little pearl? Are you gonna coat that pearl in poison? These Hamlet references are just relentless. Like Hamlet's desire for revenge. It's relentless. Actually, it's actually very, very relentful. Actually, he relents a lot throughout the play. He kind of goes, "Wah!" and then he's like, "Wait." "Wah!" and he's like, "Wait." Okay. "Wah!" Yeah, okay, so now I'm actually gonna do it. Let's hope I remember it. Sorry, that was a loud noise that I did not intend. Maybe I should just stop that. Maybe I should just leave it on the mic stand. Now I am alone. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his will so to his own conceit that in her workings all his visage want, tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, a broken voice, his whole function suiting with forms to his own conceit. And all for nothing. For Hecuba. What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do had he the motive and cue for passion that I have? He would drown the stage with tears. Cleave the general ear with horrid speech. Make mad the guilty and appall the free. Confound the ignorant and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy-mettled rascal, peak like John a dreams and can say nothing. No. Not for a king against whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain? Tweaks me by the nose, breaks my pated claws, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face. Who does me this? Swoons I should take it, for it cannot be but I am pigeon-livered and lack gall to make opposition better. Or this I should have fatted all the region kites with this slave's offal. Oh, bloody, bloody body villain. Remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain. Oh, vengeance. Oh, what an ass am I. Scene. We're going to read some original poetry. I don't know anymore. I don't have any other things memorized, and I memorized that poorly. Here we go. I need my paper. I was here, but I thought like, oh, you know, there's a bunch of people ahead of me, so I'll just like go in as I please. And then I went in as I pleased, and then everyone was gone. I'm gonna be living in Seattle. Without a car or money. Duval is different. Okay. I'll do my best. I will be here for open mics first Saturday of every month. It's a tradition. I do not miss this. Okay. I could just read some Hamlet. That's the only one I've memorized. It counts if you come to the open mic. Indeed. Or I could just read original poetry as if I were actually acting it. That's interesting to do sometimes. What can you tell me about the world outside? Is it cold? Are there walls there too? Oh, I hope it's pleasant. Point in one direction. May I walk there? Oh, speak with strange inflection. Should I talk there? A time I saw myself filtered through a clear kaleidoscopic eye, the shapes protruding, I would say, like dull pyramids on the ground, making balance hard to find. No, I didn't cross that bridge that night, but stumbled in its mid, smoke and glow, 301 clouds, the day I met the id. And there we go. Oh yeah, snap. I'm hip. So John, what is your favorite song? My favorite song is American Pie by Don McLean. I like Vincent too. I can sing the whole thing. Oh, would you? I gotta remember it. Na 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 na. Vincent Van Gogh, and also about a lot of other things. About what? Vincent Van Gogh. I've heard of Van Gogh. Oh yeah, listen to look at every single line in that. It's related to a painting of his or his mindset, his troubles with sanity. But it's also, you know, every poem can relate to some sort of human experience.
It's also about the Big Bopper, Buddy Holly.
Oh, that's American Pie.
Wait, that's what I thought you said.
She was talking about Vincent, which is another Don McLean song. It was about, let's see, Buddy Holly, Big Bopper, and Richie Valens. 3 guys that died. Richie Valens, that was the 16-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid that did La Bamba. La 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 Bamba. 18?
Yeah, you get full bonus points for that.
I can sing Starry, or Vincent, if I remember all the lyrics correctly. Okay. Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and gray. Look out on a summer's day with eyes that know the darkness in my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils. Catch the breeze and the winter chills in colors on the snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, how you suffered for your sanity, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, something fields of amber grain. No, wait, I skipped a verse. Hold on. Starry, starry night. Oh, burning flowers that, no, flaming flowers that brightly blaze. Swirling clouds in violet haze reflect in Vincent's eyes that shine a blue, colors changing hue. Something, something, damn it. See, I know the song, but I have to fill it. Like, when it's playing, I can get every word. Let's see. Colors changing hue. I'm just skipping to the next verse. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, how you suffered for your sanity, and how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now, for they could not love you. But still your love was true. And when no hope was left in sight on that starry, starry night, you took your life as lovers often do. But I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you. Starry, starry night, portraits hung in empty halls, frameless heads on nameless walls, with eyes that watch the world and can't forget, like the strangers that you've met, the ragged men in ragged clothes, silver thorn on bloody rose, lie crushed and broken on the virgin snow. Now I think I know what you tried to say to me, how you suffered for your sanity, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never will. Ooh. Okay, what are we playing? What do you know? I don't know all the lyrics. Keep going. Pick another song. Oh no. By the rivers of Babylon. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know like the verses though. So let's just do a different song. Don't know all the verses that well. I know the melody. Oh, in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to mind. Words of wisdom, let it be. Ding da dum do do do, ba da do 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 da ba da ba do do. Let's do Okay, I could make do with the lyrics, yeah. Freebird is too intense for it. First word, what's the first word? Then I can get the rest. I heard? Okay. Okay, so play it and let me get my pitch right. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. Tried to kill it all away. No. Something. Focus on the pain. The only thing that's real. And you could have it all. Pyre of dirt. I will let you down. I will make you hurt. The needle tears a hole. The old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away. But I remember everything. What have I become? Bow, bow. My sweetest friend. God, I'm so loose on the rhythm. Okay, let's do something more that I know all the things to. Do you know American Pie? Down, 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 down. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, so play chord structure, simple. It's D. It's D major to G sharp, or yeah, no, sorry, G minor, yeah. That's it. And then that goes to B. Yeah. And then that goes to A. And then the rhythm is dun 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 dun, and then you switch, so it's dun 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 dun. Maybe I have the wrong chords, but whatever. I'll sing with it because it's still the same key.
How about this one?
Okay. Oh, wait. Do you know any Sublime other than? Yeah. Oh, because I know all of pretty much every song other than that one. How long will the killer prophets? Well, he stand aside and look. Okay, just name off songs. I'll tell you when you say one that I know. Just name off songs. Exactly. That's the. Okay. If I had a piano, I could remember exactly the chords of the song I wanted you to play. So let's see. On a piano, it would be. It's definitely D major, so D, and then you go. I could draw it out.
Yeah, I still gotta finish closing. We'll have to practice another time for sure.
Oh yes.
That was a great spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
No,